Bugs and Harmony. Welcome to I Like to Movie, the podcast about movies.
Oh, and my name is Dan Scully.
And yeah, we're
We're
on
running
YouTube
out of
again.
Bone movies.
Yeah,
We're
we
running
ran out of
Bone
Bone
movies.
movies. Now we're on to Bone bands.
Since we moved on to different Bone movies than our standard. There's not a lot, and I think we covered them all. And I haven't been crossing them off on my marker board, but I know we did Bones because I remember doing that.
At this point, should we just start inventing Bone movies so that filmmakers out there some good titles that they can work with in the future?
I'm into that. I think I'm going to make one. It's called Bone Alone.
Okay. I feel like that must exist.
That's probably the parody of Home Alone.
Yep. That
where
must
it's
exist.
My mom and dad left me home on Christmas alone, and I'm horny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the version where they. Anyway, it's been a long week.
Yeah. Dude, I'm excited though because I have watched a lot of a bunch of movies that I probably wouldn't have watched had people not told me how good they actually were.
Okay.
In the last couple of weeks, and that led to an interesting thing that I want to talk to you about. But so I watched Jennifer's Body this week.
Yo,
it is
dude,
so good.
Isn't that the best movie?
It's so fucking good. I really liked it.
What's the dude's name? He was in Ready or Not.
Yeah, Adam Brody.
Adam Brody. He's fantastic in that.
He's really good. Yeah.
That was one I remember the day that I saw that because I was sick as a dog, just really, really sick. And a couple of my buddies just knocked on my door. They were like, "You want to go see a movie?" And I was like, "Dude, I feel like crap." They're like, "Yeah, just come on, see a movie. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Okay, what are we seeing?" And they're like, "Well, the only thing's Jennifer's Body." And we're like, "Well, it's a horror movie." And all of us left that that was real good, right?
Yeah,
that was real good.
I liked it a lot. I thought. It was really
yes.
Good. It is. I think typical of Diablo Cody's scripts, where it's thick with metaphor. There's so many layers to I think the story that she's telling. But the thing that really struck me about it was and I don't know if I would have recognized this at the time because I didn't see it at the time. I'm seeing it for the first time now. To me, it seemed like it was all about adolescence lived in the shadow of constant tragedy. Where it's I remember that my adolescence was lived in the shadow of things like Columbine and 9/11 and wars in Iraq. There were just these sort of constant huge tragedies that were always in the background of my adolescence. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like that was a little bit what that movie was about. And I realized oh, that's now just the story of adolescence too. It's if I feel like that was bad for my generation, that has only gotten worse for generations since. You know what I mean?
And I think too, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. I saw it when it first came, in the theater, and then when it was on video. So I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
I love that read on it, and it is funny because as we become more and more just connected to media, it feels more and more like there's constant. Not that there's not constant tragedy.
I understood. Yeah.
We're very aware of it, and just things are pretty conflicted and rough right now on a larger scale than usual. Yeah. And you feel that, but I also wonder if and he says it's really about growing up. What is growing up, but gaining wisdom from surviving struggle?
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because in the movie, it's these things that happen turn into these big national stories that kind of imply throughout the movie. And that's kind of where I got.
I don't remember. Can you give an example of one?
Well,
it's really been a long time
because teenagers are dying, basically violently dying in this town. And it's turning into, it's almost that movie, it's a Bobcat Goldthwait movie, World's Greatest Dad.
Yes, love World's Greatest Dad.
Where it's the tragedy of what happens to his son turns him into a famous author finally. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's as these teenagers are dying, it's putting this weird little town into the national conversation. And so suddenly there's almost a turn of fortune for. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying.
Well, I do remember the band, and I remember the story about the band obtaining fame and having done things to get that.
Yeah.
What was the band's name? I remember them having a really great name.
God. Oh, Low Shoulder.
That's it. Yeah. And I can picture their logo is the wheels a card on the Yeah. Oh, that's
it's a great
funny.
movie. It also is. It reminded me of. This is gonna make you laugh. It reminded me of Tokyo Drift, because it has a very of its moment soundtrack, which is a lot of cheesy music that I like am reluctant to say I liked at some point in my past. But
Can you needle drop one?
Oh, I'm fairly certain.
Name drop a needle drop?
Well, I can't remember any of the specific needle drops, but what I can tell you is what I'm thinking specifically of is I'm pretty sure Low Shoulder is just supposed to be Good Charlotte. Like the way their music is structured and sounds and stuff, like and the way they look, I'm like almost positive they're just supposed to be Good Charlotte.
I could see that.
There's a lot of that kind of music in the movie, a lot of that like early 2000s like emo, I guess. Yeah. And anyway,
I remember laughing at the way that they sort of parodied that, because I remember watching it and seeing Low Shoulder and be like, oh, these guys are funny in a way that's like a little bit mocking towards
it's on the nose for
the Good Charlottes and stuff. Yeah.
But the thing that is reminding me of Tokyo Drift is that the music is used very well in the context of the movie. Like I don't necessarily that music is very cheesy to me, but in the context of the movie, it's all like. The needle drops you like this is cheesy as hell, but I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
Like,
but it belongs here.
Exactly. Like it's so well utilized. It's just a great movie. I really liked it.
I would love to watch that now, especially with what you just said about the needle drops, because I think when I saw it, the needle drops were all current, so it probably didn't take that flavor. I mean, I'd like to see it again anyway. I remember being really impressed with Megan Fox in it.
She's great in it.
She's a much better actress than really she ever got a chance to be recognized for. I think and Amanda Seyfried, is that her name? Yeah, she's awesome always great. I always enjoy her.
Yep. I really like both.
What was the Kevin Turkey Bacon movie that I called it?
What?
The one it just came out. Another Stir of Echoes. It's like stay out of. You should have. You should leave. You should have left. I think it's called.
Yeah. I remember joking about it having a contraction in it for some reason. I think that was funny.
You should have left. It's not great, but she's in it and she gives like a performance. We're like, wow, you are. Why are you in this movie? You're better. You're better than this movie.
They are both very good, I thought, in Jennifer's Body. But I also watched with Tori for the flops list that we did on. If you go to cinema76.com right now, we all contributed a bunch of reviews to a big list of flops from the last 25 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think there was some time limit on it. I think. Anyway, we watched Josie and the Pussycats, which I had never seen. And I similarly really loved Josie and the Pussycats rocks. I thought
that's another one that I know I like, but I saw when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it was a similar situation because I remember it was like the only thing that we hadn't seen. I was like, all right, whatever, let's kill an hour. And then everyone came out of it like, so we're all on the same page that was really good, right? I don't remember much about it.
It's really funny. It's just like it skewers the like, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s TRL music.
Yeah.
That's all. It's all it's about. It just skewers that era of music totally.
And that was about the time where we were at the age where we were the target audience.
Yes,
like, we were the window age when that specific aesthetic was being shot at us.
Yeah, and it's really funny. I think it skewers that moment very well. But it's also like part of what is so funny about it is like they got people like Carson Daly to play Carson Daly. And like say on screen that he's trying to murder teenage boy bands. You know what I mean? Like it's like
man, I can't get a read on Carson Daly because I remember he was the host, and he's like very much just like a blank slate upon which you can just project your interest in anything. Mm-hmm. But like, how should I put it? He's just like there was a while where everyone just suddenly realized like, wait a minute, Carson Daly doesn't actually do anything.
Right.
He's so like, and he's just like the most perfectly bland dude. Yep. But at the same time, I think he might get it.
Dude, that's like exactly what's happening in the movie during his scene. I spent the whole scene being like, does he even understand the joke of this scene?
Yeah.
Like, does he get that this is making fun of him and what
can go either way?
Yeah.
He can either totally get it and just be really good at doing that, or just totally not get it and is what we all feared he was, that someone's like, can you say this exactly this way for this much money?
Right.
And he's like, I can say that exactly which way.
He's so milquetoast in the movie, the same way that he is in real life. That's the thing. You spend the whole movie being like, this movie is about how guys like this can deliver subliminal messages to kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he understands that that's even the joke of the scene he's in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll never, I'll never forget when you probably remember this happening. I'll never forget when Carson Daly was tasked with explaining to the Total Request Live audience that even though it keeps winning, they're going to have to retire the Bum Bums.
I knew exactly what you were going to say. I knew that's what you were going to say before you said it. Yes, I do remember that.
Where it was like, listen, like, we can follow the rules, or just this once we can break these rules so that we can actually get real music on here. And I think the irony is, I don't know if the show's still on. I haven't watched MTV in forever, but I remember catching it as recently as like 5 years ago, and they don't actually show any of the music videos on TRL.
Right.
And I remember they went from showing most of the video to showing some of the video, and then just the whole video for the top 3. Yes. And then it was just, we're showing clips for all of them except for the first video. And that's where I left. But apparently it went down to clips from all of them. And now it's just like links to them. So if you choose to watch them.
I remember, like, I genuinely remember at some point in my teenage years deciding that, well, now we watch VH1 because VH1 at least plays like more video when like there's more music on VH1. So we watch VH1 now.
And now if you watch VH1, it went through the exact same transformation as MTV. We're a RuPaul's Drag Race home. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's on VH1. It better be, because this is going to be a VH1 commercial. But one of the commercials that they keep playing is a reality show that follows around like a community that's centered around a beauty parlor or something. Sure. But the title of it is To Catch a Beautician, which blows my mind because I don't know who they're trying to catch. Yeah. But that title is an ancillary title that like spun out of To Catch a Predator, our America's favorite haha fun time pedophile sting show. And it just blew my mind how I was like, this used to be where you could watch like a Phil Collins music video.
Yeah.
And now To Catch a Beautician, which I imagine is a dissolved version of another show that was where they tried to catch beauty. I don't know.
Dude, I was just talking to Tori the other day about, I was like, hey, did you hear that Mike Pancake, Dave Franco, I was like, did you hear he's going to play Vanilla Ice in a biopic? And she was like, I don't know anything about Vanilla Ice. And I was like, oh, the only reason I even know much about him is he was on some reality show. And I don't remember even which one, but like one of those celebrity reality shows where they took a bunch of D-list celebrities and put them in a house together. And I remember liking him because he was like the only sane person there. He was always the one that was just like, what are we doing, guys? Come on, everybody just calm down. Like, let's work this out.
And everyone's like, shut up, Ice.
Yeah. But like, remember that was like that was all MTV and VH1 were at some point in my teenage years, was like these like celebrity reality shows where they would just like trap a bunch of celebrities in a house together.
I remember my roommate used to love, and I'm not going to remember his name. I know his name's Kevin. I forget his last name. That was married to Britney Spears. And so it was Britney and Kevin, and it was just a camera that followed them around as they lived like a very weird version of just absolute hell that looks glamorous to all of us, but you're watching it, it was just sad. But there were so many shows. Because he was K-Fed. He was Kevin Federline.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Boy, yeah, there were so many of those shows. Anyway, I just, for some reason you made me think of that just how many of those freaking celebrity we lived together in a house shows there were.
I bumped fists with Vanilla Ice once.
Oh yeah, dude, have I told you, by the way, that someone has corroborated your opens and closes with Ninja Rap story?
Really? Were they at the same show?
I think a different show. So like, I think this is a thing that he does, which I love. Like, a buddy of mine, I think, saw him. You didn't happen to see him in Delaware, did you? I think that's where my friend saw him.
No, actually, I'm going to say a very old sentence. Yeah. I saw Vanilla Ice for free live at one of the docks at the Trump Marina in Atlantic City. That sentence has a different flavor now than it did just 5 years ago.
Now I can't remember where you told me you saw him. I think it was in Delaware. I might just be saying that because my friend lived in Delaware for a while. Anyway, totally independent of us having this conversation, a couple of times, my buddy was like, "Oh yeah, I saw Vanilla Ice once." I was like, "No way!" And he was like, way better than you expect him to be. I was like, "My friend Dan always says that too. He says he opened and closed with Ninja Rap." My buddy was like, "He did open and close with Ninja Rap."
That's on the set list.
Yeah,
he really did play as if it was his heyday.
Yeah,
and he was close enough, and there was no security that anyone in the crowd could just fist bump him while he played. And I was like, "Ooh, I am never ever not washing this hand again.
Yeah,
But that, it predated
of course, of
hand
course.
sanitizer. But yeah. But yes,
Uh,
I've not seen Josie and the Pussycats in forever, but I do remember really enjoying it.
it's great. It's really funny and just like good satire, I think.
And the
And like
music's pretty good.
the music is pretty good. Alan Cumming is very funny in it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's
It,
great.
yeah, it's and Parker Posey is awesome in it. And so anyway, it sparked this conversation I had with a friend of mine at work this week, which you and I were talking about, where I was like, so I was talking to my friend about that movie, and he was like, oh, mutual friend Robert X. Robert was like, oh, I liked that movie when I saw it. He was like, I just remember that Parker Posey, her story is really weird at the end. And to remind you, Dan, and anybody in the audience, so she's like the record executive that is like trying to put Josie's album out, and she is putting subliminal messages underneath all of the music that she's producing. And the big reveal at the end is that the subliminal message that she has put into Josie's music is just whatever her character's name is. I think it's like Veronica or something. The subliminal message is just like, Veronica is cool. Veronica is the most beautiful woman in the world. So the reveal is that it's like this huge conspiracy of like putting subliminal messages in the music that teens are consuming is all just a big selfish display from this one monstrous person,
Yeah, and someone
and
who's also like clearly gone through the same sort of adolescence of seeing the only thing of value is being cool.
right, yes, yeah. And so Robert was like, yeah, it's like a really weird, insane like plot device at the end. And I was like, honestly, in 2020, a big conspiracy to control a lot of stuff just for selfish reasons doesn't seem so insane. Yeah.
In fact, it seems not even so insane. It seems like proven fact in multiple situations.
Yeah. So we started joking about like, I wonder how many movies that have quote unquote like insane plot lines are actually not so insane now that we're living through 2020.
This was tough to corral.
It was actually, me too.
But I do have some conversation pieces about it. And also, before we go, I do want to talk about a couple movies that I did watch.
I love that. Please, let's do it. I just wanted to use that as a jumping off point.
Yes, no, because I want to go into this because this is interesting. One of the first things that I came up with is one of the it's just one of the moments that happens in a movie that kind of kicked off the snowballing of everybody hating this actually very good movie. The movie I'm talking about is Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
And the big thing that people make fun of about Prometheus is that the characters regularly and consistently make stupid decisions. And it's all started when the two guys that are scared of everything see an alien snake that looks like a complete demon from hell that you should forget exists and run from. Yeah. And that's the moment when they decide to take off their helmets and try and reach out for a pet.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, who would do that? And today I looked around and I thought about the world around me and I said, oh, who indeed?
Yes, yeah.
I know so many people who would do it. Yep. And I started to think about it and I thought, and those are probably the people that I think are most apt to do such a thing are the exact same people telling me Prometheus is stupid. I promise you that.
Yes. I also think, like, again, it's like in 2020, it's like, yeah, but I actually think the nerds that are forced into this blue-collar science life that these guys are living, who are afraid of everything, like, I think they're the ones that would be curious enough to be like, like, just be goofy and, like, try. I don't know. That makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me, and honestly, and when I say that people would do it, I include myself amongst those people,
of course.
Because that would I don't know why, but even if it was like spitting acid, if it was the first alien thing I'd seen, I'd still just be like, oh yeah, it's a little snake boy, a little snake boy from space, and I just wouldn't be able to help myself.
I have a similarly big movie that I have like actually a couple examples from, and I wrote about this on Cinema 76 if people want to check it out a while ago. But I realized that, and this was what I wrote about a little while ago, that The Dark Knight, the end with the boat scenario where the Joker gives two boats like these triggers to blow each other up or whatever. It's like that whole scenario seems so ludicrous, and now feels like the most ludicrous part of that scenario now is that it ends the way it does. The scenario itself makes perfect sense to me now. That like people would be so willing to want to like pull that trigger on each other. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What doesn't make sense is that they end up not pulling that trigger on each other. That's the thing that doesn't make sense now.
You know what, though? I do like that in the context of that movie because it means that Batman's message is working.
Yes.
And the Joker's campaign against that is not working.
I do too.
But in real life, Actually, I don't know, because in real life, if they presented us that situation and I was in the one boat, I'd be like, hey, listen, I'm not saying we should do it, but we should probably, we should do it. We should definitely do it because I don't want to die today. And I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you guys. I don't trust them. This is not happening.
But by the way,
but at the same time, I would also be the person that would want to be the advocate that's like, hey, just because they're prisoners doesn't mean they're bad.
Right.
They're paying their debts to society, and we're cruel to prisoners in ways that I don't stand for. Let's not blow them up.
Right.
So I don't know. Both those people exist within me.
Well, the big thing about that movie, though, that I really thought about was the surveillance thing, which I think at the time was also like seemed a little bit crazy, and now is like that we have that. There's a name for that. Like that exists.
We signed up for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
I love
like
that Lucius draws the line in the sand, though.
Yeah.
He's just like, I will not do this. I can't do it, Morgan Freeman. But
anyway, I just thought it was, as I was thinking about this idea today of things that seemed insane at the time and are not so insane anymore, both of those things kind of jumped out to me where I was like, I don't know, neither of those things seem totally crazy to me.
Yeah, it seems normal.
Yeah.
I think that the boat thing, I would say there's an 85% chance that one of the boats would blow up the other one.
For sure.
And it would happen within seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I want to see is the fallout from that when all of those people have to go to trial.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually, give me that movie.
Yeah.
All of them have to go to trial, and Bruce Wayne's there and Batman's there. I don't know, but yeah, I want to see how in our world the fallout from that would be insane.
Maggie
People
Gyllenhaal
going to trial for
Rico
choosing,
Act.
Yeah, and Katie Holmes, and but it's the kind of thing that I imagine in a world, maybe not one with Batman, but one with Twitter, where we have the survivors that chose to blow up the other boat.
Yeah.
It would be insane just the way that would spin out. I'd be curious. And it would be different if it was the prisoners' boat that survived and the civilians' boat that survived.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is weird. What else
That's really funny. That's a good answer.
Thank you.
What other things did I have on here? This one just made me laugh. This is more a joke answer, but the Omen sequels seem much more plausible because it seems that the Antichrist did run for president.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
Oh no, go ahead.
I have a good one that I need to credit Matt Singer for because I was like looking stuff up about this, and on Screen Crush, Matt Singer wrote about this is how I'm paraphrasing him in reference to The Lion King. That Scar, upon taking leadership, immediately invites hyenas to wreak havoc on the land and its people. It's immediate tyranny. There's no like slow change of like, I'm going to pretend to be like a good leader. It just is immediate shit and chaos and horrible. And that feels very relevant from 2016 to 20.
Very relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It was, as soon as he showed up, day one, he got to work.
Yep.
He's like, first thing we're going to do is somehow make it always dark around these parts.
Yeah.
And then they do it.
Again, by the way, this came from an article that I believe was written a few years before the Trump presidency. And so the article literally was saying that, like, that's a ridiculous plot point. Who could ever be so tyrannical so fast and keep a nation under their...
So who could? A raging egotist?
Right, yeah.
Ugh. Somebody had a thing on Twitter. Actually, wait, I have the tweet saved on my phone that really made me laugh. I actually laughed out loud when I read it. It says, where did I put it? Maybe I did lose it. But it was just like, you mean the guy that managed to lose money running a casino drove America into a depression? I don't buy it. That actually says everything, don't it?
Yeah.
I said that one thing about E.T. that always bugged me. I watched it recently and it didn't bug me. Because I never liked the movie as a kid. Oh, we talked about this on the YouTube. Yeah. And it was something that they almost tried to, not necessarily fix it for this reason, but they almost fixed it accidentally when they turned all the guns into walkie-talkies.
I remember that,
The guns are now back.
Okay.
And I think the reasoning was just I don't want to misquote Spielberg, but I think his reasoning was just like, I want to make it feel like a less violent world in this movie.
Right.
But, what they ended up correcting was like, at that time I was like, I don't think they would shoot a kid over this.
Right.
And now I look around and go, they would absolutely shoot the shit out of a kid.
Yeah.
They would kill him and then they'd kill another kid just to like prove to themselves that it feels good to kill kids.
It feels so much more dangerous now to see people like, it is like a weird, so like for instance, we have been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine in quarantine over the past couple weeks, which neither of us had watched. We had watched The Office and Parks and Rec so many times over and over. We were looking for like a new background noise sitcom, you know?
Yeah, I hear it's
Brooklyn,
great.
it's perfect for that. It's very funny. It's like Andy Samberg's sense of humor is all over it. I love it.
Nice.
It's great. It's also propaganda that's hard to watch. I spend the whole time being like, everyone is in danger. Everyone on screen is in danger because they're around these officers that are the heroes of the show. You know,
and there's a breach of ethics, and there's a breach of ethics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, yes, I agree with you. It's like I watch a lot of things now, and I'm like, oh, I don't think this is supposed to feel as dangerous as this does to me.
Yeah.
You know,
if as a little kid, I'd be like, oh, if I found an alien, I guess what I should do is tell the authorities.
Right.
But now, like in the present day, if my niece found an alien, I'd be like, listen, we have to go on a cross-country road trip. Yeah. We have to buy every gun we can find. We're gonna this is gonna get really, really crazy, and we're both almost definitely gonna die. So, you know, like.
But whatever we do, we can't talk to the government about this. That's the one rule.
We are going to make sure that our 0% chance of survival becomes 2%.
Yes, yeah.
It's the only chance we have.
Yeah. I have like some like I guess like funnier joke answers. I feel like those are the only like true. Well, so I have a couple examples from James Bond movies where I just kind of looked these up because I've not seen a lot of James Bond movies.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, those classically have like ridiculous villain plots. Like, I wonder if any of them don't seem so ridiculous now. You know. And so I looked it up, and
one of them's like, Mr. Bond, I've created an online bookstore, but soon I will make it grow. I will lose all of my hair, and I will make it grow, and you will be able to buy anything and everything.
I mean, I don't even know if you're that far off of what I was going to say. Apparently, the plot of You Only Live Twice is Blofeld sends his own spaceships to capture other spaceships. It's just an Elon Musk story.
Yeah.
That's literally what Elon Musk is doing right now.
That is literally what he's doing. I didn't even think about that.
That's funny. Wild. And then Tomorrow Never Dies. That was one of the Bronson ones, right?
Tomorrow Never Dies was the second Bronson one.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't remember this. This is the plot of that movie. A media baron thinks that World War III would be good ratings, so he tries to start a war between China and Great Britain.
Yep. He tries to create another war so that he can create news, because in news it's always about what's going to happen tomorrow. And if we know what happens tomorrow, first, we win, because tomorrow never dies.
I mean, that's like, also, this is the plot of the Anchorman sequel, which is a very funny thing for it to be the plot of. But, like, I do think that's an interesting sort of, like, we just, like, there's no question about it that that's the reality we're living in now. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any arguing that we're living in a media circus world that doesn't have much to do with journalism or ethics.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Yeah. It's just about getting them eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Well, this one actually made me feel a little bit hopeless, because it's a movie that was believable and now has fallen so far out of reality that it's terrifying. But have you ever seen Contagion?
Oh, I've not seen that. But frankly, because I think it would be very difficult for me to watch at this particular time.
It's a great movie, like a really, really great movie. It's scary as hell. There's a lot of really effective images. It's one of those movies that was weirdly released in IMAX, and I didn't see it because I was like, why would I want to watch like a slow burn drama in IMAX?
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I wish I saw it in IMAX.
Okay.
And you know, you may agree or disagree, but you'll see why when you see it. You really should watch it. But like, the world mobilizes when a pandemic happens, because they realize it's a bigger threat than everyone else, and there's hiccups here and there. But like, nobody falls completely flat on their fucking face entirely in full embarrassment of full shame of the entire planet. That doesn't happen in the movie.
So this is like the inverse of the premise.
It's the inverse, where this is one of those things that I would have been like, well, if this happened, we would all just go for it and get it done. And now it's like, oh no, we wouldn't actually get it done. We would just like film each other at stores and put catty videos of each other online. And
I like the idea that Soderbergh tried to make like a very realistic, like the horrors of what would happen if a global pandemic, occurred. And what he ended up making was like a hopeful Hollywood story that could never happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not the most hopeful Hollywood story, but it's like, it's one where the villain is actually the virus,
right,
and not the response to the virus.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like the virus is a very, very scary thing. And like here, it's like, the virus is very, very scary, but I'm actually more scared with how abysmally our administration has handled it.
Yes. Dude, on a similar note, I wrote The Happening because The Happening is literally happening right now.
Yeah.
It's like, the eco collapse leads to basically a virus breaking out. You know what I mean? Like
killer allergies.
Yes, yeah. It's like the movie that people love to make fun of for being the dumbest M. Night Shyamalan movie is actually happening outside of our houses right now.
And the only person we're looking to save us is Mark Wahlberg. It's coming true.
Yeah.
It's coming true. You gotta wash your hands, dude. Yeah. If you're not washing your hands, it's gonna spread.
I mean, similar note, I wrote down Man of Steel, only in this particular sense.
Okay.
Zod's plot in that movie is that he wants to terraform the Earth, which is at face value a pretty absurd thing to do when like he is also aware that the Earth's atmosphere will give him godlike powers. You know what I mean? It's why would you want to terraform it at this point? Like you've actually found out it makes you a god. I don't know. It's a weird thing for him to decide to do. However, now a few years later, the world literally is collapsing, and we could use some terraforming to actually survive for a few more years. Yeah.
I will say, because I've thought about everything with Man of Steel as its sole advocate, is that him terraforming the Earth is not necessarily going to change the atmosphere.
Okay, fair.
But at the end, laser eyes. So
fair,
it is what it is.
Fair.
But no, I do get it though. Like there are a lot of things that if you don't aggressively attack that movie, to make sure you have a defense for every criticism, there are a lot of things that can be criticized.
Yes. I just thought that was a funny one of like, actually, it doesn't make sense for him to do that, but now a few years later, he should do that. Like,
he should do that.
Yeah, because this planet will be inhabitable by anyone soon.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense that Zod would do that. You're right, but it's true. Now it's like we really need to do this.
Yeah.
Actually, you know whose plan we would need to enact? Lex Luthor's plan from Superman Returns.
Yes.
Because we could probably use a little more land space to get some people onto, spread out a little bit. But what are you gonna do?
It turns out a real estate mogul did not actually do us that much good in response to a lot of these things.
You're right. I'm stepping in dangerous water here.
Do you have any other examples? I have like a couple more, but only one that I really care about bringing up.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, there was the one that kind of was the meme that started it all, which was, we always joke like after Jurassic Park happens, why would they ever reopen it? But nowadays it's like, I mean, the best thing that could happen to a Jurassic Park is people get eaten by dinosaurs.
Right. PR, baby.
Yeah, that's just the best PR there is.
Yes.
People got eaten by dinosaurs?
We need to go immediately. There were creepy ads of a bunch of employees being like, we are happy to be food for dinosaurs again for you.
They're all missing an arm.
Exactly.
Like, come on back to Jurassic World. We've got Chris Pratt.
I have some other dumb ones here, but the one I have Weekend at Bernie's because Kim Jong-un just faked his death to weed out his So I don't know. I just thought that was funny. The Matrix is happening. There's Second Life and stuff like that. It's just like a thing that's happening. But okay, this is my really good one. I like this one. The movie Rookie of the Year, where the kid breaks his arm and becomes a Cubs pitcher. The entire joke of that movie. The entire joke of that movie, because that movie is from 1993.
Yeah, the entire joke of that movie is pitcher's got a big butt.
Yes, No. The joke of that movie.
I loved that shit as a kid.
I did too. I loved that movie. The reason that movie works at all is because at the time it was made, the Cubs hadn't won the World Series since hold on, I wrote it down. Since 1908. So the joke of that movie is that the Cubs would accept an injured kid to be their pitcher because they're not winning any other way. Now they just won one 2 or 3 years. That movie doesn't make any sense anymore. They've won one since.
It's gone.
It's gone. It doesn't make any sense to me. This is the inverse one.
Now, if I remember correctly, did they not? I don't think they win the World Series at the end.
I don't remember.
I think they just get the pennant.
I think you're right. It's pennant race. Yeah.
I forget, though, because I remember that he puts the fist up in the air and he has some sort of ring at the end.
Yeah.
Henry Rowan-Gardner.
Rosenkratzner.
And then there was, what the hell was Gary Busey's name of that? He had such a good baseball name.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up.
Is it Chet something?
Right. Yes, it's Chet Stedman?
Yes, Chet Stedman.
Is that right?
Chet Stedman. And I remember there's one part where they're on a plane together, and he asks him how his food is, and Chet Stedman's like, "I think this is the best damn Salisbury steak I ever had." And even when I was like 9, I was like, "Bull fucking shit."
Yeah.
I done had Salisbury steak,
Yeah.
and I done had shit on a plane,
Yeah.
and that's just doubling down on bad. So
Yeah, you just said a gross thing from a gross place. What do you mean?
like, you're lying to that kid, Mr. Busey. Thought you were above this. Under Siege Busey, maybe, but Chet Stedman,
I believe
give him the
this.
have to.
I'm looking it up just to make sure we're right, and I also wanted to. Yep, I was correct. Daniel Stern directed that movie. I was pretty sure. Yeah, Chet Stedman. I can't believe we got that right. Chet Stedman.
Oh, dude, I've seen that movie 100 times. I remember the funniest joke when I was a kid was when he first tests the arm and he accidentally just smashes his doctor's nose.
Yes.
And the doctor grabs it and he says, "Funky butt loving." And then the kid that was in every commercial back in the day went, "Did he just say funky butt loving?" And that was the peak of comedy to me, at least until Jim Carrey crawled out of a robotic rhino's ass.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's in like the Mick World commercials.
I do. I remember that kid was in tons of stuff. There are some like there's also a kid whose name I don't remember, and I tried looking up recently and just couldn't think of anything he was in. But he was in every single thing I saw on TV when I was a kid. And I think he hosted like one of the Disney like programs, like one of the like interstitial programs. Do you know what I'm saying? Where like just a couple of like preteens were like, "Hey, welcome back from the movie." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he was one of those kids, and then I think he was like also in a bunch of like Disney movies and TV shows. And I wish I could remember his name. I remember none of the titles of things I'm trying to think of. He was in every goddamn thing I watched when I was a kid, and I couldn't believe it.
Was
and
it
I'm not
Andrew
thinking of one of the
Keegan?
Lawrence brothers. Maybe it was Andrew Keegan. I'm looking him up now.
Look up Andrew Keegan. He was the guy that was in everything for a while.
Andrew Keegan.
Either way, that's a face you're going to be like, "Holy shit, that guy, he exists."
Oh, dude, I think this is the guy I'm thinking of. I think this is who I mean. Camp Nowhere. Yeah, of course this is the guy.
It's Andrew Keegan.
Of
That's
course it
so
is. This
funny.
is exactly who I mean. How is that description that I gave accurate enough that you were like, it's got to be Andrew Keegan?
Honestly, I was just trying to be funny because I figured when you'd pull up Andrew Keegan, you'd be like, "I recognize this guy. Where's he been?"
No,
and then
it
it's the guy.
is this guy. It's
I mean, it's either
definitely this
him
guy.
or the redheaded kid from The Sandlot.
Yeah,
They're
I know
the only two.
Yeah, from the Big Green also, right? Are we talking about the same kid?
Yes, yeah, Big Green, Sandlot. Yeah, Andrew Keegan. He was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Freaky Friday, Full House. He's in a ton of things that I grew up with.
Just about every issue of Tiger Beat ever.
Apparently he's in Independence Day. I don't remember that.
He plays older boy, according to this. So I imagine he's not very much in Independence Day.
That's true.
That's very funny.
A Dog's Life. I remember that movie.
A Dog's Life. Man, that's crazy.
It's definitely this dude. Camp Nowhere was a rental, like a constant rental at my house.
I remember my dad took me and my sister to the theater to see a movie, and we had a choice between Camp Nowhere or The Mask. And I campaigned so hard for The Mask. But things typically trended towards what my sister wanted in life, so we went to see Camp Nowhere, but I was still quite pleased as a child.
I remember enjoying that movie a lot as a kid. Doc Brown camp movie, which I was also a big Heavyweights fan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Heavyweights is great.
It hit all the earmarks of my childhood.
I recently rewatched, speaking of Heavyweights, it popped into just conversation somewhere, but I recently rewatched the pilot episode of Heat Vision and Jack.
Oh my god, dude, I've never seen that, and I've always wanted to.
It's on YouTube.
I can watch it. All right,
Take
cool.
25 minutes out of your life and watch it. But it's just one of those things that I'm mad that it didn't become a show, but I'm very happy that it didn't become a show because it's a perfect thing.
Yeah.
It never got the chance to run it. Not that it would have run out of steam. I mean, it's great, but it's just a perfect thing that exists, and you should definitely watch it.
Oh, I will.
His tagline is "Knowledge is power." For real. For real.
For real.
Delivered in a way that I couldn't possibly do compared to the great Jack Black.
You know what? Now that you're talking about that, I just need to say this out loud somewhere that's recorded so that when it's eventually revealed I'm right, it's been recorded. There are two characters on Brooklyn Nine-Nine named, by the way, one of them's named Scully. Scully and Hitchcock. And I am convinced that they are supposed to be Jack Black and Kyle Gass, that they were written to be played by those two men. and that they just had to get 2 other bumbling big guys
Yeah,
to
yeah,
play
yeah.
those characters because they didn't agree to do it. If you ever watch the show,
I will at some point.
when you even if it's 20 years from now, you're gonna watch it. You're gonna have the exact same thought. And you're gonna be like, "Oh, Garrett told me this."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have the exact same thought. It's
Yeah, one of
wild
the
how much they're definitely
Scully
supposed to
or
be
what's
them.
his name is going to be like, "You're under arrest, skadoosh," and I'm like, that doesn't seem like it should be being said by this person.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's supposed to be the 2 of them.
You're fucking under arrest, bro. Oh God. And then Cage just mugs in the background.
Yeah.
Fake Cage.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. You want to talk? I know you had another topic for talking.
Oh yeah, because it's just another one of those stupid things, and I actually don't have much to say about it because I think I've solved it.
Okay.
One of those stupid things popped up just in the world of film discussion about what does and doesn't define a horror movie.
Sure.
And so the Silence of the Lambs was the movie in question,
I saw this
whether
floating
that's
around.
a horror movie or not.
Yeah.
And there's cogent arguments on both sides of it as to what makes a horror movie. But I'll ask you, do you think it's a horror movie?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty much a proponent of did it scare you? Cool. Then you can think it's a horror movie. You know what I mean?
That's where I land on it. Is it a horror movie to you? Then it's a horror movie.
Yeah,
it's not a horror movie to you? Well, then it is whatever it is.
Yeah.
And in a world where we don't have video stores anymore, it's kind of pointless. Streamers put them in multiple categories anyway.
I know, yeah. Well, and to me, it's that argument is so confusing to me because definitely for the most part, I'm just it doesn't matter. Who cares what genre that band is or what genre this movie is or did you like it?
Good?
Is it? Yeah, exactly. But I do think that is not to say that there's not something useful about being able to say that there is a genre called horror and this story was intended to be a horror story. You know what I mean? Because so having sort of, I don't know what you would call them, but broad parameters around which something could be categorized as this thing or not this thing is useful, I think, in certain discussions. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I think so. And I think it's one of those, I think why horror gets the little bit of charge around it is because horror was typically, not as well respected, not seen as prestigious.
Yeah.
It goes through waves of prestige, but when the term horror came out and not when it came out, I mean, horror's been around forever, but the mainstream idea of horror, people just think Jason.
Yeah.
And that is a very different movie than something like Midsommar, and they're both definitely horror movies.
Yes.
But, something like Silence of the Lambs, I think that I would call it a horror movie.
Yeah.
I would also call it a psychological thriller.
Sure, yeah.
I
agree with that.
I think that they're both, I don't think that it's an either or thing, which is why that lives on the line. Yeah. But it's I'm not going to call, I've been watching all the Freddy's and Jasons with Jenna, and I wouldn't watch The New Blood and be like, that's a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's a horror movie. It's a slasher.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens. The disrespect that comes towards horror comes because of people not realizing that slasher is a subgenre of horror.
Right.
And so they just think, oh, it's titties and blood. And then, that's not.
Well, and I think too, to your point, it's I think this is why it could be important to understand genre or the limits of genre to some extent. I think because if we now, I think you could say that Midsommar is both a horror movie and a drama. Yeah. And I think you could probably, if you wanted to, make really solid arguments for why it is one and not the other. If you wanted to. But I do think to go to try and say oh, Midsommar is just a drama, to take it, I guess that literally would almost be a disservice to that movie. You know what I mean? It's then a lot of what's happening in that movie makes less sense and is maybe saying something weirder if I'm supposed to just think that this movie is just a drama about relationships.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
It especially, but where it climaxes to,
right.
That's a weird thing to have in your drama, yeah.
Exactly. It's very helpful to categorize that movie as a horror movie.
Yeah.
I think that helps you understand the intent of some of the images and storytelling choices, right?
That opens pretty stark, yeah. If I was showing that movie to my mom and she was like, hey, it's got pretty flowers on it, I'd be like, listen, it's a horror movie.
Exactly, yeah.
I would definitely use that, yeah.
It is useful, I think, to have these sort of categorizations and to understand them at some base level, I guess. But then we get into the argument of, okay, then what is the base level? Like, what is the base level that makes it horror, and how does Silence of the Lambs fall within that?
Yeah.
And then that's a conversation where I get less sure of how I feel, because I still feel like, well, I don't know, whatever it is to you is really what it is, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would say, because that's in that function, like where I would use it like that. If I was bringing Silence of the Lambs to the table, I would be like, "Oh, we should watch Silence of the Lambs." They go, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "Well, I will warn you, it's like fucked up."
Yeah, right. Yes.
That's what I would say. Because I probably wouldn't open with horror movie on that,
Right.
even though I would call that a horror movie.
Yes.
But I think if I was telling someone who wasn't me, I would just say something along the lines of, "Oh no, it's like a cop movie where they're trying to catch a murderer, but it's really dark, it's really fucked up, and it's kind of scary."
Right.
I would go that way with it.
Yeah, along the lines of, like, is Seven a horror movie?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you can what you just described, you could use the exact same words and describe Seven. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, my brain wants to say that's less of a horror movie than Silence of the Lambs, but maybe
it feels
that's
less
not
of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think because in Silence of the Lambs, it's got two big cartoonish scary bads.
Yes.
Whereas most of Seven has a nameless, faceless scary bad that we get a taste of in the final half hour.
Yeah.
You know, and then in real life.
Yes.
And so, you know.
Nicely done. Wait, but hold on. I had another thought about it too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
If I was saying Seven, I would introduce the same way, and I agree. I would be less inclined to call that a horror movie. Yeah. But I would say the same thing. Where I'd be like, it's like they're trying to catch a murderer. It's a cop movie, but it's fucked up and it's dark and it's kind of scary.
Right. Yeah. You just reminded me that.
I think I lost you.
Oh no, am I still here?
Oh no, there you go. Yeah, you froze for a second.
Hi, I'm back. What I was going to say is, what I have found out often though is the idea of, like, genre being like, doing what you're talking about, where you're like, well, I don't know if it's really a horror movie. It's like, it's kind of like a police procedural. I mean, it's scary and fucked up, but it's not like really a horror movie. Invariably, the person I'm telling that to comes back and they're like, why the fuck did you tell me that wasn't a horror movie? That was absolutely a horror movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true.
The person I have to have that conversation with is always like, goddamn, yes, it's a horror movie. Why did you tell me to watch that?
Yeah, when in doubt,
yeah,
warn them that it's a horror movie.
Yes, yeah.
It's weird. Your face is completely frozen.
Oh,
and
no,
you're making
you're
making a great face. I can hear you just fine. You got that weird little computer thing going on, but
hopefully it's not in the recording.
I'm getting
a little robot me
in different positions.
I'll make even bigger ones, and if the video turns out to be fine, people will be like, this looks weird, and if it turns out to not be fine, it'll look really weird.
I think if you're recording on your end and not seeing it, you're probably good.
Hopefully it's all right. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like the genre conversation is most often used to start trying to tear something down, and that's why I get exhausted by it.
Yes, you know what I mean? Was very exhausted by it, which is why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I get exhausted by it because I feel like it's most often used to be like, that's not blah, 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 you know? And
that's what's so makes it so heightened, is that horror is, you know, like there's an edge to it. People want to defend horror and say, oh, why's it got to be separate? Is it lesser?
Right.
And, so it gets charged around that conversation for sure.
I hate that. I don't know. And so I'm like way more inclined to be like, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm actually,
it's like, did you like it?
I know, as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about The Guest, which is what I'm always thinking about. But that is a movie that's very easy to have this conversation about. Is it a horror movie? Is it not a horror movie? In what ways is it a horror movie? In what ways is it not? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. That's not actually why I like that movie anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's a porno.
Yeah, but exactly. When I go to recommend it to people, I have discovered I do need to be like, yeah, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Because that's how they respond to it, you know?
I would consider The Guest a horror movie. I would also consider it, I'm looking at the poster, I would also consider it a psychological thriller.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, if I had to recommend it to somebody, I'd be like, you want to watch this movie? It's like a weird family drama, but it's like kind of fucked up and kind of scary.
A little creepy. Yeah, exactly. You can describe anything that way. Yeah.
I want to make a recommendation of
Please.
Two
You
movies
said
that
you
I
watched some movies that you watched this week. Give them to me.
oh, first off, the big one that I want to drop. I saw two like really really fantastic horror movies that are brand new. One is on Shudder right now called Host.
Oh yeah.
And it was literally filmed quite recently during quarantine, and it's just a haunted Zoom call movie.
Heard a
But
lot
it's
about it.
legitimately scary,
That's
and
cool.
it's only 56 minutes long. So it's in and out, and it's one of those that I'm mad that I watched it during the day, but I'm very glad that I watched it during the day because it's very jolty, but in a good way.
I
Highly
also,
recommend Host.
without having seen it, I love the idea that the filmmakers knew that 56 minutes is the precise time at which a Zoom call is like too long and starting to get
Mhm.
stressful that you're still on it. And so like a movie that is a Zoom call could not be longer than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it couldn't be longer than that.
Yeah.
And also, if you remember, if you don't have a Zoom premium account, you only get 40 minutes for your group call anyway.
I thought about that. Yeah.
So it's like real. It's perfectly. But I definitely recommend that, and it's just really a lot of fun. It's just a good like set them up, knock them down, scary stuff, and it's like very well acted for something that was just kind of thrown together.
That's cool.
In the same thing, in the same realm, on video on demand, just like you have to buy this one. But Mike Pancake directed a movie called The Rental, and I think that might be. It's certainly not the best movie I've seen all year, but it's probably my favorite so far.
That is going to be a rental in this household this weekend.
Dude, it's fantastic. It's the kind of movie that you really don't want to read anything about, so I won't
Yeah.
say too much about it. But where it begins is very much different from where it ends.
Yeah.
And it's a mumblegore movie. It's co-written by Joe Swanberg, so it has like relationship drama.
Mm-hmm.
But as it escalates in surprising ways. And by the end, there's like a couple really cool, like newly iconic horror images in it that I hope would be newly iconic.
That's cool.
That have really stuck with me. It's just it's a really cool movie, and it's got
our boy Dan
Hong
Stevens,
Kong
right?
face Stevens in it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Tori and I really want to rent that. Pun intended and not. I think we're gonna do that this weekend.
It tries a new thing, like Jaws is like, oh, the beach is scary. Psycho is like, oh, showers are scary. This is trying to do like, oh, Airbnb is not as safe as you think.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Into it.
Another one that you should absolutely watch, The Pool, which is on Shudder.
Dude, I want to watch that. The alligator movie.
Well, you just broke up a lot again.
Is that the alligator movie?
Yes, it's a guy falls asleep on a raft in a pool that's being drained because there was a music video that was shot in it. And when he wakes up, the water's too low for him to get out of the pool, and then a crocodile crawls in.
Awesome.
And that's how it starts. It's
awesome.
So crazy, and it's pretty hardcore. It's a mixed bag, the alligator effects, but they use them well.
Yeah.
Which you can expect. But the one that I want to talk about is a movie that I have always seen pieces of, and actually had seen most of and really, really liked it, and then never saw the ending. And quite literally, the last 5 minutes of this movie are where this movie goes from almost masterpiece to perfect movie ever.
Okay.
Dude, you got to watch Atonement.
Oh, yeah. Joe Wright?
Joe Wright. You think that it's another, like, oh, it's like Pride and Prejudice. It has Keira Knightley and it's a period drama. And it's not. And what I always liked about what I had seen from it is that it's like a fucked up, dark, really well shot, kind of epic romance adventure story. It's why, and I always liked it for that because it looked like, Keira Knightley is Keira Knightley in Keira Knightley, like, those movies that came out for a while.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
She works the jaw, but then it's actually like a hip, kind of awesome movie. But I didn't know that it has like one of the great endings to any movie.
Okay.
And it is a bold swing, and it is a bold swing that just punched my gut harder than it's been punched in ages. Like completely speechless. That is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. You gotta watch it.
I'll watch. Yeah, I mean, I love Hannah so much. I would even watch his fucking Peter Pan movie.
I had to see his Peter Pan movie in the theater. It's not great, but there's a lot of things in it that are really cool.
All right.
Hugh Jackman's Captain Hook singing Nirvana, not one of them, even though you'd think. Not one of the cool
this
parts.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is worth watching. It's pretty cool, but it's not. But Atonement, dude, my God, McAvoy, killing it. Keira Knightley, killing it. Saoirse Ronan, and she's like a child in it, killing it. The whole thing is, and there's even a scene that like just crosses over into the thing at Dunkirk.
Oh.
And it's like a giant tracking shot with some really just horrifying but really artfully done stuff. But there's a lot of humor in the movie too, and it's just one of the most thoroughly engaging and enjoyable and emotionally compelling movies I've seen in quite some time.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, Atonement is where it's at.
I should watch that. Hannah is so good that I just am like, yeah, whatever. Joe, right? I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's worth watching, and he directs the hell out of it. I mean, it is just, it's very, very, very well done. Nice. And ooh, it's so good. The romance between McAvoy and Keira Knightley, it sizzles, it smolders. Ooh.
I mean, that's a great cast. That's awesome.
It's a great cast, and they're all cranked up to just like big drama. And like I said, she works the chin and the eyes, and then McAvoy's all proper and shaken up, and just it's good stuff.
All right, I'm into it.
Yeah. Oh, Cumberbatch is in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He must be like a somewhat younger Cumberbatch, right? That movie's like
he's younger batch
now. Right? Younger batch.
Yeah, it's Benedict younger batch, and he's but at the same time, it's like, oh, a movie where you're allowed to be properly British, which is the only way you look. Like,
yes.
So yeah, he rolls through and just Britishes it out. It's good stuff.
Nice, dude. We nailed this hour-long episode here. We're rolling right into the perfect ending.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I've got nothing else to really talk about.
I know.
I did rewatch Inside Man earlier today, and let me tell you,
I need to see that movie.
That is the spiritual sequel to Pelham 123 that the new Pelham 123 wanted to be, but it's great. And this time I was really, it's Denzel just murders this. He's just great. Yeah. But I was really struck with Jodie Foster this time. I thought she does like a really
streaming somewhere?
It's on Netflix.
Awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. And it's Spike Lee and just really operating at high energy blockbuster level. What's up?
Clive Owen?
Clive Owen.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
He's the bank robber.
I'm thinking of the right movie. Okay.
James Ransom's in it. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Willem Dafoe.
Nice.
Christopher Plummer, Jodie Foster. It's got a stacked cast, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. I got to watch that. Maybe I'll do that this weekend.
You should. You really should. I would love to know your thoughts on it. It really works. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
People can find us everywhere on the internet using I Like To at I Like To Movie on Facebook and Twitter, and I Like To Movie at gmail.com, and I'm on cinema76.com. You can find a bunch of stuff that we were doing over the last month on flops there, big studio flops, and you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Philadelphia. That is with an F.
Nice. At Dan Scully on everything. Cinema76.com, Findy.com. Letterboxd, Twitter, all that fun stuff. You can check out my other show. It's called Hot Property. Me and my buddy Steve just talk shit. And you should check out Jenna's show, Depp Impact, where she is tracing the career of Johnny Depp and his impact by watching everything he's ever done. And as a result of this, I have now seen the pilot episode of 21 Jump Street, in which Johnny Depp woefully plays a saxophone because he's mad at his father. It's good stuff.
That sounds awesome.
And by good stuff, I mean it's just utter shit, but it's just so much fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But so check out Depp Impact as well.
And look up our regular show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. We should have some more cool interviews coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So check us out there. All right. My name is Garrett Smith, and I like to movie.
My name is Dan Scully, and I like to movie.
And we all know that you like to movie because we
like to